Hello, and welcome to lesson 4. We're going to be talking about the houses. So before we get into that, we have journal prompts every week. Make sure you kind of check in and do those after the lesson, and then make a flashcard for each house. You're going to notice as I do this, there is a direct correlation between the house numbers and these zodiacs, and that's why your zodiac notes, you should have the numbers there as well. So if I say right now, number 7, Libra, you should have Libra, hopefully. But it just makes, when you know the zodiacs by numbers, it makes this process a lot easier when learning 12 houses. So I'm just reading my notes here. I always forget the structure of things, but I lay it out in advance for myself, or interceptions only if at least one participant has this. I know that some of my students have this, so I don't know if I'm going to teach that here, if it's going to be in a live class, we talk about that, but yes, journal prompts and continue with your flashcards, digital or like written out, whatever helps you like retain the information and learn. Jumping right into the 12 houses. What is a house? So a house is where it's where things are big themes in your life. So there's a rundown right there. You can read through. You're going to notice that it has very similar correlations to the zodiac signs based on the number. I'd like to say the fun creative houses are 1, 5, and 9, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. Our career houses or work houses are 2, 6, and 10, which is Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn, our Earth. Relationship houses, people houses, social houses are 3, 7, 11, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. And our mystical houses are emotional houses, emotional ties, 4, 8, 12, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. So when looking at the houses, if you have a stellium, 3 or more planets in a house, well, then you got yourself a theme there, a big theme in your life you want to look at. If you find that all of your planets are pulled to one side of your chart, then I'd look at that as well. It's very important to know which house your sun is located in. It's considered the most crucial house. It's just a big theme in your life. It adds an extra layer to your personality, if you will. So sun sign is your personality, as you now know. So I'm a Gemini sun in the 11th house ruled by Aquarius. So I'm a very airy air person. So I have this very chatty, learning, teaching, questions, personality, which is Gemini, always changing my mind. You throw on the layer of the Aquarius house, I'm very drawn to community and groups, and making sure that what I'm teaching is being shared to a like-minded community, which is one of my biggest goals with Be Mindful Studio and the membership that when this goes up will be here. And it's been a big thing for me. It's just not only me teaching you guys and having, students interested in astrology, but like knowing that you guys can talk to each other too, because you're interested in the same things and you should know each other. That's like a very big thing for me. It's like, don't just come to me, come to each other and like connect that way. So if you have a bunch of houses filled, like the planets are in the houses at the bottom, I said you're being more introverted. You're more at the top, you're going to be more extroverted. Now, this may or may not be correct, but it's just like a fun little thing you can look at. And the reason we say that is because the first 3 houses are usually more things tied to ourself and our ego, just things. It's if you look up there, awareness of self, personal resources, immediate environment. That's us, right? Then you move over, you have inner world, personal creativity, daily life. So you're kind of bringing family in there. Then up here in this DCMC section, which we went over our chart points, we have awareness of others, shared resources, and expanded horizons, which is where we're emerging now, connecting with other people. Then our other little quadrant there, we have our outer world, which is like work, potentially. We have group contribution and spiritual life, which is more just like transpersonal, like over here. So one of these areas in your chart will be the most kind of like filled in. I don't even know with mine 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I have more on the top of my chart. So my chart's on the wall. That's why I'm looking over here. Then I have 2 and 2. So mine distribution goes 4, 4, 2, 2. So there's that. And when you have, so the thing about this, and I said this in the Navigating Your Natal Chart video, like the first house is always Aries ruled. It is about yourself, your physical body, and everything, which is right here. We're going to move on to the slide here. And I put little pictures with everything. So I'm a visual learner. So it's like I put the planet that the house rules, the zodiac sign that it's ruling, and then a little picture to describe kind of the activities of the house. I did this on like Canva, so the graphics can be limited, but I think it's cute. And if you're a visual learner, if you're like, what is she saying? But you look at the picture and you're like, okay, the house of self, there's me in my body, like feeling my body working out kind of, right? So the first house is all about how you present yourself, how the world sees you, can indicate some of your physical features, and it's also your soul and why you're here. It's always going to be an Aries themed house. So even for me, mine is Cancer ruled, but it's like it is the house of self because Aries rules the self. So hopefully that makes sense. So this can describe, like, personally for me, my first house is empty. So knowing myself, maybe I know myself really well. It's not like a big focus thing for me to do. When you have a lot of planets here, you're going to be a very independent person, or you're learning to be an independent person. You're going to be very into, you're going to just really be into like working out, moving your physical body, leading things, initiating projects. If you have certain placements in the first house, if you have your moon near your ascendant, or like either 12th or 1st, like near the ascendant or in the first house, you wear your emotions on your sleeve, which means, you kind of know what the phrase means, but if you're feeling something, your face is showing you what you're feeling, like your body language, like you're physically going to show what you're feeling. You can't hide your emotions. That's a big thing. So any planets in this house are going to have even if, for example, you have a Venus in this house and it's in a different sign, like let's say it's a Venus in Leo, but it's Venus in first house. So you're also going to like love, and things are going to bring you joy and abundance that are also related to the first house as well. So it's like a fun extra layer to this process. So if we think of like a pizza, these are the triangle slices. If I said that, but you can kind of see here, it's the triangle slices. Your planet is like, let's say, the cheese, and then we'll say the house is the cheese, and then the planet on there is, let's say, pepperoni or something. And it's like an extra layer, right? An extra flavor of who you are, right? So if you have a lot in your first house, you're going to be a very like head first, let's go, strong, independent, let's move our bodies. You might come across as pushy, but it's just because you want to like motivate people and get them going. But just watching, because this house is ruled by Mars, if you have a lot here, you got to watch like anger and aggression, because that's Mars rules that. So yes. Second house. So you have the hands of the money. So the second house is the house of money, possessions. It's ruled by Venus. It's Taurus energy. So it's what you will own in your life, what you're going to acquire, potentially how you make money, like how you'll earn it, how you feel about money, how connected you even feel to physical belongings in your home. So like if you have like, you like to collect things, if you have a lot of planets in your second house, you might collect something. Like, I'm just going to use a random example of collecting stamps, or my mother has a stellium in the second house and she has a bell collection, old antique bells. She has like a lot of them. My second house is empty. I'm just going to tell you everything about my chart because why not? It helps you understand. I don't really have a connection to the second house or the first house, like really at all. But the second, you may collect something. You're also going to be someone who, because Taurus, Earth, you're going to be very into like nature, grounding yourself, gardening, food, cooking, things like that are really going to be a big theme for you. I really only talked about the money there. That's just one part of it. But yeah, it's things that you own. Like even depending on like, this is my house and this is what I fill my house with. And this is the garden in the back and this is the food in my fridge. It's like things you can hold and touch and it's there. Yeah, that's the second house. So things like that will be a big theme if you have a lot here. And if it's empty, it's not going to be that big of a theme, but whatever zodiac sign rules it, this is how you're going to potentially express your feelings about like money, possessions, food, things like that. Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. And if you have an empty house, it's not bad. I always get asked that question. It's not bad. It's just not a big theme for you, but you can still figure out how you use the energy and execute it through the chart. Okay, our third house is one of my favorite houses in the chart. It's the house of communication. It's ruled by Gemini and Mercury. Little bubbles there. You have a lot in your third house. You're very in communication with everybody around you. You like your immediate environment, so like your friends, your family, like immediate family. So it's like you want to stay in touch with like your aunts and your cousins and your best friends and the people that you like live and live with, like your siblings, like whoever you live with, or that immediate family, parents, siblings, cousins, aunts, uncles, all that. You need to like constantly be in touch with them, know what's going on, and be connected to them. But then also it's how you speak, right, and think, your logic, your memory. If you have a lot of planets here, you're going to feel the need to talk a lot, be on social media, sharing a message. You're potentially going to have like, it's a very social house. You might want to even teach. I have a few planets in the third house. I like the third house. It's fun. Yeah, it's just basically you want to be in touch and communication with everything around you. If you have a lot of planets here, it's going to be important. And depending on what the planet is, it's going to be like, again, adding that layer. So I'm going to use mine as an example. I have Mars and North Node in the third house, but they're in Virgo, but it's in the Gemini house. So even though I take action in this like very systematic way, I still like with the North Node in Virgo, I know I'm meant to like teach. That's why I feel very like confident now in teaching and running classes and courses. And I used to get a little nervous. Now I'm like, whatever, because it feels like what I'm supposed to be doing. It's just a natural thing. It comes naturally to me. So, if there's something that comes naturally to you, or you find it's a big theme, it could be tied to one of the houses, but, like, do I ever know what I'm going to say when I come on here? Do I plan it? No, I just start talking and sharing what's like in my head, and I just start talking and going. I don't know how I do it. Like I have these like slides in front of me, but I'm just talking to the camera right now. I don't even know how I'm saying these things. Like all these videos, it's just there. The North Node's there. I'm just in it, in the communication, trying to, it's like local. If you think of that, like third house is like local. If you think about your neighborhood or the city you live in, or even like I'm in Canada, province, country, like that. When we look at the ninth house is like freaking global. So, but the third house, you have to be more focused here. It can ground you to like know what's going on in your local immediate surroundings, if that makes sense. Like I know when their events are on in my city, I know like the best people to go to for different things that are local to me. Like I don't know how, I just do. It's stuff like that. That's very third house. Next, before I start going on a Gemini ramble about Gemini energy, the fourth house is the house of home. I'll lower the tone for this one. It's ruled by the moon. It's the Cancer house. We have our home here. So it can literally represent like what your home looks like. It can represent what kind of childhood you had, or even what your home looked like in childhood. It is the kind of security that you seek, and it's like what you need when you're like protected from the rest of the world and like your little home. And like Cancer is very nurturing, mothering energy. So if you think of like if you ever have done nesting for anything, it's like what you kind of just need around you. This is where you would see that IC line. It starts here, the fourth house. It's like that private life. So if you have a lot of planets in this, like even if you're a fire sign and you have lots of fire in your chart, but the fire stellium is in the fourth house, you're going to be sensitive and a very quiet person, even though you have all that fire. I discovered my best friend is a Leo. She definitely has Leo traits. Oh my gosh. But she's very quiet sometimes, like not very Leo-like, but that's fine, right? But then I discovered her sun was in the fourth house, and I was like, oh, that makes so much sense. Like, and she's very kind of like domestic in a way. Like she's like more of an introverted Leo. And I'm like, this is really cool. Like it's cool to see that, but it'll like mute down fire, this energy. It'll make any water energy feel super like more watery. It might confuse air. I have an air ruling fourth house, not confuse it, but that's not naturally flowy there. But it's a sensitive house. So you have a lot here. It's really gonna like make you more introverted and quiet. And then whatever zodiac sign rules your fourth house or your IC point, it's gonna just describe what you want at home at the end of the day. So yeah. Fun fact, mine's in Libra, so I want everything in my home to feel balanced and at peace. No conflict. That's what I strive for. Next, we have fifth house. So fifth house is the Leo house. So we have the sun there and the Leo sign. And you see I've done it by color too. So the more red fire. Then I put the idea bulb there with the arrow because it's supposed to represent like your creativity and the ideas you get and how you kind of express yourself. It can even be the house of like kids because Leo is the inner child. It can represent like romance and dating. Most people think the of marriage and partnership. It's like they immediately go to the seventh house, but the fifth house is actually like dating and your romantic life. It's like the house of your heart. It's really just like where you express your creativity, how you have fun, and the joy that you have. And if you have any planets here, you're going to find yourself to be potentially really creative person. And yeah, it's like the house where you're going to shine, like how something's really going to shine if you think of that Leo energy. Yeah. So if any, I'm not talking about transits yet, but if there's any planets going through this house ever for you, it might just like increase, or you just might be more into like dating, or your creativity might explode with ideas and just you're like, oh my gosh, so many things I have to do. Yeah. If you look back at the first thing that I had here, the I serve, but you serve yourself, like you first. Leos are very like, it's the me centered. So like how you're going to serve yourself before we go to the sixth house, which is how you're going to be of service to other people, and also your daily habits and routines and your health. So if you have stellium in this house, you could potentially be like a doctor, a medical professional. I have seen it. A naturopath had a stellium in this. But we have Mercury there. It's a Mercury ruled house. It's Virgo ruled, and we have the helping hands there because it's house of service. So it's sort of like what you need to do to be of service. It's an earth house. So think of work, like how are you of service in your job? It can also describe in medical astrology any kind of illnesses you potentially might have in your life or a part of your body that could be of a concern. Like a disease, you could be may susceptible. If a disease you may be susceptible to. I like to think of this as like the ritual daily habits, like things you're gonna want to do. It'll describe if you're going to want to keep a routine or not, depending on your chart. So like my sixth house is ruled by Sagittarius. So I like to say that I'm of service by teaching. Again, I bring up that teaching again. But I in the past, I'm not really good at sticking with routine. Sagittarius is like it's mutable, likes to change things up. So my routine kind of goes on based on my mood. But it's like, how am I of service to other people? I share what I know, and I'm always learning. So that's how I've interpreted the house for me. If we go back before I move on to so we've just done the bottom of the wheel. Before I go on to the top, I'm going to explain here. So how it works for me is like the fun creative houses, 1, 5, the career houses, 2, 6, and 10 for me are all in fire. So when it comes, if so, you can look at your chart and see, okay, where are the fire houses? Those are the areas you're going to feel really passionate about. So if like for me, when it comes to career, so if we think like the money, that you have service, the public image career, all fire. It's like fire, passion, let's go, career. My fire houses, like the fun creative houses, are ruled by water. So I'm more so, yeah, like Cancer and Scorpio. What's the last one? Pisces is here in number 9. So my fire houses have this like water tone to it. So it's a little more like emotional. My relationship houses, the 3, 7, and 11, are all ruled by earth signs. So I like efficient communication, small friend groups, and like stability, reliability, and other people, which usually air signs like wouldn't necessarily be like that. And then the water houses for me are all ruled by air. Yes, Libra, Aquarius. So there's like the emotional mystical houses for me. I'm like, I add a logic layer to it, or I like think about it, things like that. So you can kind of see for you where it works. Now, if you have an interception, I'll get into that later, but yeah, I'll talk about it now or else I'll forget. So interceptions, you might not have, I don't have a picture of my chart on here, but see how these are all like equal slices? You might have a section, let's say at the top, there's like, let's say Taurus is right here, and you have 2 lines. One's hitting Aries and one's hitting Gemini, but no line is touching the Taurus part, that like 30 degrees. I should say each thing's like 30 degrees to make the 360. And you're like, okay, wait, Taurus isn't what? Like what? And so that means that you've intercepted Taurus. No house starts at Taurus, which means that you're going to have, for this particular person I'm thinking of, their first and second house both start at Leo, and then their 7th and 8th house both start in Aquarius, and they intercept Taurus and Scorpio. Like it doesn't have a house there. But it's like in Placidus, they're going to feel an influence in their career of Aries, Taurus, and Gemini, because those are the 3 things that are in the 10th house there. So hopefully that makes sense, but you can look to see, for me, it works like each, like the elements compared to the elements. But if you are a fire rising sign, because this is where it really gets important with the houses, if you're a fire rising sign, it'll line up because you start fire. So all these will be fire unless there's an interception. These will all be earth. These will all be air. These will all be water. For me, I start with water. So for me, it's not that way. You could also start with air, earth, and it's going to like change up the layers here. So yeah, so for me, it goes, I'll repeat it again. It's like, my fire houses have water. The earth houses are fire. The air houses are earth, and the water houses are air. So it's like, ooh, like it's different. Yeah. And if you are an Aries rising, your chart is literally this, like really easy for you. And if you're a Libra rising, it's like flipped. So 2 random facts there, but okay. Getting back into this, any questions, you always bring them to the live session. So say that. 7th house. So we're now at the top half here. So the 7th house is the house of partnerships and marriage. It's ruled by Libra. So we have Venus energy. So that love energy. We have the handshake there. It doesn't necessarily mean marriage. It could be about who you choose as your person to like marry or be in a long-term relationship with. But it's also about partnership and works, any business or legal affairs, any kind of contracts you have, and your ability to work with other people in a one-to-one capacity. Not necessarily like your immediate family members or you teaching, or not teaching, but you just like being with a group socially. It's like, how are you in like one-to-one ships? So yeah, if you have a stellium here, you're going to be very other focused. If you have any kind of planets here, you're going to be very focused on the other person, because if you look at the opposite of Aries, focused on the me, the self, it's the we. We have the we with Libra. Next is the 8th house. 8th house is ruled by Scorpio, and I have just the word power there. It's the only image I could think of for this. So it's the house of death and regeneration. It's a mystical house. It's very hard to explain this house without it sounding creepy. People are like, oh, it's the house that rules like sex, death, birth, afterlife, right? Like we're born, someone has sex, we're born, and then we die. Very like, kind of morbid. Nothing scares a Scorpio. So that's why this is the house that's rules it. But it's basically, it can also deal with like the shared resources and not just your own personal. So like if you have planets in this house, you could potentially get inheritance of some kind in your lifetime. It might be how tied you are to leaving a legacy behind, like for other people to potentially like inherit from you. It could be about grants and loans, like you might be easily able to get those things. I will say I have a placement in my 8th house and I have received 2 grants for my business. Now, in an essence, I was trying to be savvy to get startup money to start my business. However, not everyone who applies gets the grants, but I received 2 grants because I found the opportunities and I did it. I did the work. I got the grants. But some people might not even think, I guess, to go find grants for their business. So I don't know, but that's just a cool thing when I discovered that it was about like how you get money from other people. I was like, what does that mean exactly? But like getting a loan from somebody, getting a grants are better. You don't have to pay it back. And then it's like an award. And then inheritances and things like that. So yeah, but it's also like the house that rules things like the regeneration and transformation. So like really wanting to better yourself and transform. I was studying up on the 8th house because I have some transits going through here. And it was like people have a lot of 8th house energy. They kind of evolve and transform every 5-ish years. And if someone hadn't seen me in 5 years and they had a conversation with me, they'd be like, who is this person? This person has completely changed. And I resonate with that a lot. And that's the easiest way I can describe this house. Now, if this house is empty for you, you're not going to connect with this at all. You might not go through those deep transformational changes. But if you have a lot of energy here, people may have say that about you, like, oh, you're so different than you were before. Like you've really changed. And people make it seem like it's a bad thing, but it's not. So yeah, you're totally okay with change. Like you want to grow and be better and you really want to transform yourself and think differently and go into like the depths of things and explore the psyche and the mysteries and like those things do, like it fascinates you more than anything, like psychology and human behavior and things like that. That's this house. 9th house, Sagittarius house. We have Jupiter here, right? This is the house that rules travel. Like if you have a stellium here, you have traveled the freaking world. You've been everywhere, or you've been to a lot of countries. You could like, if I asked you how many countries, you'd know the number, you could tell me because you're like proud of it and you like want to make the number go up. It's also mental exploration, publishing, like Gemini, like the local, this is global. You want to learn, but like globally, it's more expansive. That arrow is shooting out. And even just think of anything I've talked about Sagittarius in the zodiac lesson or anything I've said about Jupiter, you can apply it to this house. Yeah, publishing, literary efforts, public expression of ideas, actual travel, meant to produce long-term study, philosophy, the higher mind, connecting the dots to things. If you have a lot here, you love your freedom. You do not want to be put in a box or told what to do. You want to explore, and it's like, do not tell me what to think. I'm going to go and experience it myself, either through travel, through a book, through a course. And it's like, you're never going to stop learning. That's the 9th house. Yeah, definitely an emphasis on the freedom, like having even the freedom to travel everywhere and figuring out how to do that. Very ninth house, but just expanding through that, like learning from the travel. And the long-term study is like your travel to foreign land. It's cool. Okay, last 3 houses. 10th house is ruled by Capricorn, and we have here Saturn, so discipline, karma, like your career potentially is connected to your life purpose, maybe, but like how people see you could be connected to your life purpose as well. And here we have a woman going up the stairs. What do you think? Capricorn, that the mountain goat, going up. I don't know. Yeah, it's basically how people see you. If you have a lot of planets here, you're going to be very career focused. If you don't have anything in here, you're still obviously probably going to have a job. It's just not going to be like your main focus in life. It's just, it's your job. Then we have here, it's even how you accept responsibility. If like you think of Saturn, karma, responsibility, what esteem you're held by others. So again, remember how I said you can act differently, like at work and then at home, and then when people first meet you, and then what you need in a partnership. Like it's all connected there. So this is like that midheaven point. It's like how you're seen. So any planet that's here. So if you have Venus in your 10th house, you might love working, right? Because it's things that you love to do. You have to love your job. If you don't love your job, it's not going to work. I have Saturn in my 10th house, so I'm very, very connected to work. And then I have Mercury in my 10th house, which is communication or teaching. I will make the connection to teaching like all the time in the chart. But yeah, I also read a book and I want to write more, and like Mercury's communication, writing in the 10th house, being known for words. Next week we learn how to put all this together. And but yeah, that's the 10th. I feel there's a magic in the 10th house or your midheaven, like knowing kind of like, okay, the best ways for you to make money, that's second house. You know how you want to be of service, that's sixth house. Okay, how can you take that together and like be seen for how you're going to like lead in your career? So that's fun. 11th house is ruled by Aquarius. It's super fun. It's community, groups you belong to, clubs, societies, your friendships. It's really like the groups of friends that you have, your involvement with like just being social, being out there, how you're known in groups and communities, whether you want to be or not, whether you want small groups or large groups. It also deals with your long-term dreams and goals and anything to do with like intellect. So I did a little network picture here. So Aquarians usually need to have a dream or a goal, like a vision for themselves. If they don't, they can get lost. So it's like knowing your long-term dream, or like a long-term dream you might have, maybe influenced by the sign that rules this. And then Uranus is there. This also rules it too. So it's also kind of like maybe what you do or your involvement in groups or organizations. Like it's the most likely, if you're going to get yourself involved with a group or organization, you're going to support what it's about, and it's how you potentially want to create change in the world. And we have Uranus, which is all about rebellion and change. An example is I volunteer on a board that has to do with mindfulness. That makes a lot of sense because my business is called Be Mindful Studio, and it's the other half of what I do, astrology. I mix it with mindfulness. So yeah, I was trying to find a group of like-minded people, and I was like, there's this local one, so I'm a part of it, and I help them, and I want to help share their message because I like what they're doing. And yeah, and I believe in what they're doing. I believe it can create good change. So there's that. So any cause that you really believe in, community, if you put your heads together with more than one person, you'll be able to create that change. Last but not least, we have the 12th house, Pisces house. We have Neptune. And I did no picture to choose, and I found this picture, and it's like dreams, I think. It's the last house. It's the house of like hidden stuff. It's like unseen. Now it says they're secret enemies. Now there is a thing that says that like secret enemies can appear whatever rules your 12th house, whatever season, zodiac season, they can kind of like appear to you. I don't know. But you can even look at it says they're self-undoing behaviors. If you have ever self-sabotaged, I think we've all kind of potentially done that at some point in our lives. This is the influence, because it's like the unseen. Like you can't necessarily see subconsciously why you're doing something. This is that house. You have a lot here. You're a very highly sensitive, attuned person who has psychic abilities, in my opinion. If you have a lot here, you are going to like if we look at the opposite, sixth house is your physical health and well-being and like your daily habits. So physical health, though, the 12th house is like mental health house. So like, how are you doing the unseen things that people can't see? Like you can't see how your physical body, like you can see how your physical body is doing, but like the unseen realm. If you have a lot of planets in this house, you probably dream a lot, or you have big dreams and aspirations for your life, or you dream at night a lot. You might get like any kind of clairvoyance, claircognizance. I'm probably not saying it right, but clairvoyance, one of them. You probably have that. The woo-woo, you're gonna love the woo-woo. It's gonna intrigue you. And I always say if you have a lot in the 12th house, you believe in ghosts, but That's just a thing. Because I've asked a few people that have a lot in the 12th, and they usually like they're like, yeah, I do. Like you're not, it's like nothing's off limits. Like you're okay. I shouldn't say nothing's off limits, but you're okay with unseen. You know it's there. But yeah, it's a secret house. It's secret. It's quiet. So you potentially are just gonna be more of a quiet person. Now, if nothing's in this house, like I don't have anything in this house, it might not be that big of a theme for me, but at the same time, whatever sign rules it, that sign might be a secret side of me. Funny enough, my 12th house is ruled by Gemini because I'm Cancer rising. So, yeah, the 12th house is Gemini, even though my sun is in Gemini in the 11th, because with Placidus, how it works. But yeah, secrets with the Gemini. I don't know how it's like the secret enemies or the self-undoing behaviors. I immediately just think self-undoing behaviors with the Gemini would be talking too much, getting myself in trouble with my words, and like accidentally offending somebody or like spilling a secret. Because like as Geminis, we just collect information, and it's like accidentally saying something because you don't really know what you're saying, right? The oversharing, I don't know. I'm like thinking of things as I'm teaching. These are the houses. Please let me know if you have any questions. I'm not gonna ramble on how long was this one. Okay, it's still really long. Okay. Let me know if you have any questions. Go through. These lines are here for you to state like my 12th house is in this sign. Anything I even said that's not written there about the house, you take your notes, but I really want you to go through your chart. I should have said that at the beginning. I want you to go through your chart and be like, first house here, second house here. And if you have an interception, like, cool, make note of that somewhere, and see how this kind of relates. You bring questions to the live, and that's everything. Thank you, and I will see you in the next class.